You know, I always remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger was interviewed and he talked about meditating on the muscle, you know, when he used to work out. And he didn't talk about it back in the day, but I mean, in the last few years, he said he would really focus and meditate on that muscle while he's working it. Sounds like a lot about what you're talking about.
Man. And it's funny because Arnold is one guy who speaks about that. Dorian was another guy who spoke about that, but nobody else. It's like it's just breezing over everyone's head because they want to attach to what they know or what's easy. And their worldview is this is the way it needs to be done. And when someone comes in and tries to disrupt their worldview or disrupt their belief system, they tend to be resistant.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you actually want to do things correctly, if you actually, like I don't teach Ben's method, right? I teach what's correct, right? It's just the way the body moves. So it's just like, okay, if you're resistant to it, that's one thing, but acknowledging that it's incorrect is probably a good, starting point to start shifting. But yeah, so it's exactly it, man. I use exercise as meditation. People laugh when they train with me because oftentimes my eyes are closed. Oftentimes I'm very stoic, right? I'm very stoic in my expressions, and just because I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to feel rather than think.
I think a lot of guys, when you're taught, is you focus on the rep. You focus on getting something to something or completing a something, which is then everyone comes back and says your form is wrong, you're cheating on this, because you just focused on getting the one rep at this weight so you can tell everybody you did it.
Yeah.
And then I guess kind of misses the whole point, right?
It does.
Stressing the muscle.
Is the objective to complete the exercise or is the objective to challenge the muscle?
Right.
I don't think either one is wrong. It just depends on your goal. Right. If my goal is to lift more weight, well then lift more weight. I don't care what it looks like. Right? You may want to care what it looks like long term because ultimately form does matter in that too, but in the short term it doesn't. Like long term, if you really want to get to world class, the way you do it matters tremendously.
Right.
But short term, go and lift, fine. But if your objective is to build this muscle or challenge this muscle, how much I lift only matters if it's creating an internal result, right? I have this external stimulus that's intended to create an internal stimulus, an internal result. And if it's not, what the hell am I doing? I'm wasting time. I'm just creating stress. I'm not creating a change, right? I need to create that internal environment that tells my body to respond and adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when Dorian came up with this whole high-intensity training, it went against all the conventional wisdom of you spend hours in the gym, or maybe you just saw an old version of pumping iron and you think that's the way to do it, and Dorian was like, I'm in and out in 45 minutes.
Or I think Arthur Jones was a big impact on Dorian and Mike Mensert, right? And
Mike
he was brilliant, right? Arthur was. But again, way outside of his time. Like he was so early, and people at that time didn't want to talk about how to work hard. Most people don't want to work hard, right? They want to be able to say they went to the gym. They want to feel good about like, oh yeah, I went to the gym. I want to tell their friends. They don't actually want results, right? If you actually wanted results, you would intentionally seek what's hard, right? So many people come to me and go, oh, I don't want to train with you, man. Why not? Well, because it's going to be hard. Isn't that the point? Like I get literally pro bodybuilders, oh, I can't train with you, man. Really? Like if the greatest bodybuilder of all time go, hey man, let's go. If I felt like I was going to die, I still, okay, man, let's go. I'm ready to go, right? Because I know that I'm going to get better. But most people avoid that. So most people tell you that they want to get better, but they don't actually want to get better, right? And that's what we know. So most people don't want to do this stuff because they know it's going to be a shot to their ego. They're going to have to use less weight, potentially, and they're not going to be doing it as well. Like, oh, wow, that hurt. I don't want it to make me feel good. Great, but that's the path to long-term optimization, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to my leg workout with Dorian in Marbella, and we put it in the movie, and it was really fascinating. I got a little sliver into the Dorian, the way he trained, and he took me to this place of pain in my brain that I don't think I've been to. He said, as the analogy before, he said, I'm going to take you to a place where you're going to push so hard, it's as if I'm going to put a little gun to your baby's head. He's like, and you're going to have to go so hard to get me not to pull the trigger.
Right.
And then once I did it, he said, and Brian, it's showing up and doing that every single day. He's like, that's what it took to build.
And there's so much more than that too, because if you look at heart rate variability, not everyone has the ability to get there, right? Not everyone has the ability to get that high amount of sympathetic stress. Their body will literally shut off, right? You'll pass out or you'll throw up well before your body can actually get there. So Dorian had this ability to take it to this place that nobody had because he didn't train as often. He trained much lower volume, right? So it allowed him to kind of amplify the space between sympathetic and parasympathetic, whereas most people are training really, really often and they never get that high amount of stress. That's what I'm teaching people is like, the goal isn't to do more. The goal is to do better, right? Let's get better first. And then and only then does it make sense to actually start quantifying these things and maybe increase the amount that you're doing, right? So yeah, Dorian had it down, man. Like the amount of work that he did, which is kind of legendary, right? Training 4 days a week at Mr. Olympia is unheard of. But the reason he was able to do that was because he was pushing to such high intensities, and he needed to have those two things together, right? He couldn't train at the intensity he did and do it 5 days a week. He would have broke earlier, right?
Yeah.
He just couldn't have. So you need to have that recovery. So his HRV was probably very high. When you go back in the gym, my HRV is high. I can push my sympathetic stress to a massive level, and most people can't. So you're obviously a very healthy guy. You're very fit. We can push you really far. But I get people that come in the gym who are pro athletes who they're like, oh, I want to train legs with you. And like one set, they're laying on the ground, they're done. So they're not even capable of going to that place. It's not a mental thing. It's a completely physical thing as well, right? We have to train the body and train the mind to be able to go there first. And that's just this resilience piece with our heart rate variability.
Yeah.